Welcome back to another Live at 9:45. I am your host, Adam VanOrd of VanOrd Customs, and tonight we are going to interview John Schultz. So if you don't know who John is, stick around. I see that he's in here already. We will definitely be talking about who John is, what's going on, and how he's doing great positive things for our hobby and has been for a long time. So at the beginning of every episode, I like to start it with these few things, a couple pointers to remember and some things to talk about. First and foremost, please remember that this is a family-friendly show. Please keep things PG for me in the comments, and feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions. I will do my best to get to your question and answer it as the show goes on, if I can fit it into the interview. If not, I will absolutely come back and make it happen after the show is over. Additionally, check out all of my social media stuff if you would, please. That'd be great. VanOrdCustoms.com, VanOrd_Customs on Instagram, VanOrd Customs on Facebook, and then additionally over on YouTube, you can pick up any of the past interviews, and I've had a whole host of amazingly awesome guests who are doing great things in the RC community. So if this is your first Live at 9:45, this is an interview series, and I try to put it on every single week for you guys live at 9:45 here in this Facebook group. The goal is to spread the positivity and the good things going on in this community and shed some light on people who are putting in a lot of extra effort and who are putting out some really good stuff. Without further ado, I'm going to get John up in this feed and start asking some questions. We'll fire up the interview and get things moving for this evening. So give me just a second, guys, while I pull him into the feed. All right, and guys, I apologize if I itch my nose a lot. This week, some kind of allergy stuff going on around me all week. So you're gonna see me do a lot of that. It'll be super annoying, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm just reading a comment. It said, I appreciate what you're doing with the kids at your school.
Hey, there
how's
you
it
are.
going?
Good. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to do this. Wait, yeah, that's what I want to do.
There you go.
That way I'm not all backwards and all that kind of stuff too. Put you on a tripod. That way it's
yeah,
a little more stable. So
perfect.
And plug it in so it has power and I don't lose you.
Yeah, that's definitely a recommendation I make to anybody who's on the show. I learned that one the hard way one episode. It was like at 5%, and I'm going, all right, guys, we got to go. It's over. So.
Okay, and I got my iPad down here too, so I can see you and see what's going on and all that stuff too.
All right, that sounds awesome. So let's fire this all up with, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Is that me?
Uh-oh. I'm frozen already on my end. I don't know.
Really? Are you serious?
Of course. It never fails, man.
Hang on one second here.
If you try it, stuff happens. So.
Well, usually I don't have an issue. I'm going to go and try to change Wi-Fi channels real quick, and then I'll be right back.
That's cool. I have something I'll talk about with everybody, and we'll do that while you fill in what's going on, all right? Okay. So, guys, if you have tuned into the VanOrd Customs feed at all this week, I have one post out there that has, like, incredibly just, like, exploded, and I thank each and every one of you for all of the support and anybody else out there who supported it. Don't hit the like button. Yes, Jeffrey Jones, don't hit the like button. I'll talk about that in a second. So the post that I'm referring to is I posted up a few pictures of the group of kids, well, not the group of kids, the group of RC trucks that were donated to a local club that I am putting on inside of the high school that I teach at, where we have 12 ready-to-run Red Cat crawlers that were donated by RC Addict. Those 12 ready-to-run Red Cat crawlers are to meet the needs of 18-plus students. I've had a few extras gain inside of my club that I've got going on. And so the goal there is to teach kids about RC crawling. So how to drive the trucks, about the trucks, all of that information, if they break them, how to fix them, how to work on them, how to upgrade stuff, all of that as time goes on and as that club continues. And so, just so you guys all know, that is a very trial and error based thing that I've got going on right now. We took them out today, and we broke some, but that's okay. We'll get it fixed. It's no big deal. It's really hard to police and manage with a group of high school kids. So the trials and tribulations with that club, that I'll just fill this time with that while we're waiting on John here, is that first time we took them out, we broke 3 different C-hubs and a front axle shaft. I will take a lot of the blame on that one. I didn't read the little label inside the red cap box, thinking, you know, I know everything about RC crawling because I've done this a while. And so we didn't set our dual rate switch. They turned too far. They broke them. We've repaired them all. Red Cat Racing was amazing and sent replacement parts. Today, I've also put in place a driving class. So, like, you have to take a pencil paper driver's test, and you have to operate the truck in a slow fashion, navigate a small course, and then you can earn your driver's license and be able to drive them. Well, apparently everybody can do that on call, but when the truck's really in their hand, that's not so true. So, as all that's going on, today was another jumbled mess, and apparently we also can't drive on a platform that's like, it was like 3.5 feet wide, almost 4 feet wide. So, we ended up with a couple other shafts, which I can fix, due to the parts Red Cat has already sent, and then one servo horn, which made no sense. That kid must have rammed it into something. So, I think the biggest trial and error here, guys, will be structuring it and making everything work. Read the instructions. Yes, Michael Kubitka, read the instructions. I fell apart on that one. That was totally my bad. But the rest of it is the population of kids I'm working with are not always the best listeners, and that's okay. It's just about structure, and I'm working on solving that problem so that they can have more fun and less breakage. And so I'm not planning on stopping that club or any of that stuff. And so I saw another question that said, is it during the school day? Yes, it's during the school day. All right, John wants to be in my video. I'm bringing him on. Guys, if you asked a question about anything with the RC Club, I will definitely hit those afterwards. But this is John's show. I want to highlight John, so we're going to talk about him. Take him outside in the flower beds. Yeah, I mean, it's a way, but still, oh man, they broke him on flat ground the first time. So, all right. How we doing, John? I think you're still there. All right.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. I tested this all day today.
Oh yeah.
And we're just gonna go off the sound off. Can you hear me fine?
Yep.
Okay. Seems like with my earpieces, it draws down the Wi-Fi for some reason, and it was making some weird stuff. So we'll try it this way.
Yeah. So there's some definite interesting little quirks in Facebook Live, and in all reality, it changes weekly. Like, they change how their stuff works, and they always seem to update on Thursdays, very conveniently. Yes. So it's always a good time. There's always a little trial and error here and there. But now that we're up and running, I think everybody wants to hear about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm John Schultz from Victorville, California. I have 4 kids. I'm married. I met my wife at an RC car track. I have 4 daughters and 1 boy, and that's why you only see my son at the tracks. I've been racing since '84. I'm into off-road, motorcycles, Jeeps, and everybody knows I have a Jeep now. But yeah, a little bit about me.
All right. So you said you've been racing since '84. Is that when you started in the hobby? How long have you been in the RC hobby in general?
I bought some cheaper cars back then. You know, it was, I don't even know what it was called. It was a little Hummer, and you had to buy batteries for it. And it was fast, but the batteries would die, and I would have to go and buy more batteries, and that didn't last very long. So then I went to a hobby store and saw all these remote control cars, and that's how it started. I bought a Frog. That was my first car.
Yeah. So do you remember what your first one was? What was your first hobby grade RC?
It was a Frog. To me, a Frog.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought that at a hobby shop, put it together, built it. Didn't even know they had racetracks yet, and just was kind of going to different hobby shops looking for hop-up parts because I just ran up and down my street for 3.5, 4 minutes. That's how long the battery lasts back then. And found out they had a racetrack in Glendora called Hobby Bench Raceway, or Hobby Bench. Yeah, I think it was Raceway, and that's where I first started racing. It's a lot different then than it was now, because back then it was like you raced off-road one weekend and you raced oval the next weekend. They just kind of changed it up.
Interesting, man. So I don't have a racing background at all inside of RC. I raced BMX bikes when I was younger, but I started in the crawler world, and I've kind of stayed inside of that to the best of my ability. So the racing thing's very foreign to me. It sounds like a good time, but it's just not something I've experienced.
I'm very competitive. I've always liked racing. I was brought up around racing, but when I got older, where I got my first job, I couldn't really afford to go out and buy motorcycles and stuff because I was young. But I could afford to piece together an RC car, and that's where it all started.
Awesome. So what or who was the initial thing that, like, the initial event, the initial person, however, that got you started in the hobby?
Honestly, it was really myself. I mean, I wanted to race. All my friends raced either BMX or they did skateboarding. My stepdad raced sprint cars, and my real dad, he did motorcycles and stock cars, like at Ascot, if anybody knows what Ascot Raceway is, out here in Southern California. So they were always busy doing that, but I never myself was able to go and race. And it was just that passion to be involved in going fast, and and I could afford it back then, and it just became an awesome hobby. And to this day, I don't care what it is, RC related, rock crawling, drag racing, oval, off road, on road. I'm super enthused with all that stuff.
That's awesome, man. So what are you currently racing? Are you racing buggies? Are you racing, like, I know you said you kind of are all over the map. What's your main go-to thing?
Right now, I'm a big fan of 13.5 buggy. 13.5 either 4-wheel or 13.5 2-wheel. With it, like they have a lot of races out here. They're big races. They have 40 and over. I'm not as fast as the kids nowadays. So it's cool to race with people that have a little bit slower reaction. I mean, they still are fast, but those are my go-to. They're not as fast as the mod cars. Today's mod cars, they're ballistic, but they're not as slow as stock. So it's that happy medium. I really enjoy that class for off-road. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. So like I said, that's all very foreign to me. I don't know so much, but I'm sure a lot of the people out there tuning in are following exactly what's up. Let's talk a little bit about, if you weren't as involved in RC, what do you think your hobby of choice outside of RC would be?
I would probably be in a full-size racing of some sort. I did race a little bit of desert, back when I was younger. I still have my bike. Me and the wife and the kids, we all still ride desert. But I would probably be involved in the full-size, either off-road buggies or off-road bikes, something like that. That's probably where I did that.
All right.
Just passionate for racing. And I love off-road racing.
Awesome. So I have to take just a quick second and address our crowd over here, just to let them know that, guys, we appreciate all of the love. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the likes, the reactions. However, Facebook Live does not appreciate the likes and reactions. For some reason, it freezes feeds. So you can comment until the end of time, and it won't hurt anything. But if you guys hit that like button too many times, if you mash it too many times, it will slow the feed down. And so, just for the sake of keeping things going, it would be amazing. If you refrain from doing a lot of that, you can do it once in a while. It's no big deal. But if you like hit it 100 times, it'll totally boot us. Just because I have so many of you in here. Additionally, I want to pose this question not only to you, John, but to everybody else who's out there watching. When it comes to, let's talk about specifically the crawler world, because I don't know that it comes as into play in racing, but are you a big tire fan or a small tire fan?
I really enjoy crawling. That is a tough question. I'm probably more of a big tire fan, just because I like to build my stuff. You have your scale people, you have your people that like to have like setups, and when you want to work better than it looks. And I'm one of those guys. So of course, when you put bigger tires on it, it's going to work better. So I'm a real big fan of the Proline XL Super Swampers, and the new KM3s is a really good tire too. I've been running those quite a bit too. Super big fan of those.
All right. So the next question that I ask of pretty much everyone, because I like it. I like to hear people's perspective on it. So in the racing world, I'm guessing you're pretty much all brushless, but in the crawling world, are you brushed or brushless? And what's your preference and why?
I'm a brush person. I just said that doesn't go with performance, but I like the way the brush feels. I like I run a Tiken FXR, and I run a 16 turn 5-pole motor. That's what I run. It's smooth. It's got a lot of good power. I can creep it. It has enough wheel spin where I can hop up on stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely a brush person. I have been playing with the brushes stuff lately, and there's some good stuff out there. I'm pretty impressed. But at the end of the day, I'm a brush person still.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that one's always an interesting one, because I would have assumed with the racing background and all the brushless that you're probably using over there, that you would have brought that into crawling as well. And so your response is like not, from my end anyway, it wasn't what I was expecting. So that's awesome, man.
Well, see, if I want to go fast, I have my race cars. Sorry, I'm getting ready for JBRL tomorrow. That's why my cars are back here. But to go fast, if I want to go fast, I just pull one of these out. So if I want to go crawl, it's, yeah, I have the reputation. They call it Schultzing over here where I work, because I go a little. I push. It's not scale. It's RC. But I do push the limits on the power wise, but if I want to just go out and crawl with my buddies, it's just a good time to have brushed. They're maintenance free. It still is brushless, but I like the feel of the brush motor.
Yeah,
I can get 3 hours on a battery. I mean, it's just awesome. It's on a brush setup. So I just like the way the brush feels.
All right. Great answer. Let's talk a little bit about, so you're really involved in RC, like incredibly involved. You said, I mean, you're in most of the facets. You've had cars, trucks, boats, planes, all of that stuff. What is your favorite part about the RC hobby in general?
There's so many different. Well, the biggest thing about the RC community is that I met my wife. I met my wife at an RC car track, and I met her by actually helping out her dad and brother, because they were new to the hobby, and that's how we met. And we've been together 29 years, married 28, something like that. So that's the best thing about RC. Hopefully she's listening. But to me, there's so many different directions with RC. If you want to be competitive and race, my favorite time racing is when I'm racing with a bunch of guys that are the same speed as me. We're just having a good time. we're just kind of rubbing and we're following each other and we're bumping, but we're not taking each other out. We're just having a good, fun, clean race. And you come off the driver's stand just adrenaline pumping and excited, and you're high-fiving because it was, I mean, you might have lost that race, but just being there with those guys and being competitive and giving it all you got, you know, they're giving it all you got, that right there with the racing side, it's the best feeling ever. Far as the crawling side of it, it's just a good time. I mean, you go out, you can, I mean, we have a bunch of guys at our local track that, you know, I thought they were just a bunch of jerks because when you're at the track, they're focused, they're all about racing. One time, you know, I took a bunch of crawlers to our local shop, Cloudy Hobbies, and I said, Dave, let's get these guys out there on the rocks. Let's just take these for demos, you know, and use them. So we would go out and invite these guys over, invite these guys out, never even mess with crawling. And we had the best time. I got to know these people on a personal level. We laughed, we talked, we found some lines that were not so scale, and we all battled those lines. But it really opened these guys up, and we're really good friends now. I mean, it's just a different type of RCing. You know, it's good times. You're not pressured to make your next heat. You don't have to worry about hitting your charger to be ready for the next race. You don't have to worry about saucing your tires. You know, it's basically you throw a battery in it and let's go out and have a good time on the rocks. And that's what we do. And we, you know, hey, I'm going to go to CDN this weekend, or I'm going to be in Apple Valley this weekend. And they all come out. We all have a good time. It's awesome.
All right. So let's talk about competition-based stuff. You said you're competitive by nature, and that you race all the time because that's what you like to do. Do you compete in like the scale crawling competitions, or are you more like crawling is for fun?
Both. Yeah, both. I have an XR10 right up here. I haven't used that in years though. More of the stuff I do is like K&K, or I just went to the G6 this last weekend and actually ran at 12 scale at the 3 hour, that was so much fun. Yeah, I've done quite a few scale events. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. But then when you get done with that, then you just go out and crawl on the rock with your buddies. So it's kind of it's both the best of both worlds.
Right. Which one do you like more? Do you like the crawling world more, or do you like the racing world more? Like if you had to pick one, which one would you live in?
Wow, that is tough. That is really tough. I would probably really lean towards the oh, wow. That's a tough question. I would probably look more towards scaling. I'm older. I don't have those reaction times as as a racer.
Yeah.
But if I only could do one, it would probably be scaling. I travel. When I travel, there's always an RC car in my suitcase somewhere, my backpack, and it's usually a crawler because I can go to, I can go to Chicago, or I can go to North Carolina or Texas, and I can look up on the forums or their local or Facebook pages or hobby shops. Say, hey, where do you guys crawl? And find a good spot to crawl. There's no pressure. You don't have to worry about being there at a certain time or a certain date, or for racing. I would pick crawling. I definitely pick crawling. I would miss racing though. I would so miss racing. Yeah.
Yeah. I genuinely was curious to see where you would go with that, with the big racing background and all that. So, I think there's something to be said of the relaxed nature of what we're doing in the crawling stuff. And even when it is a competition, you're really only against yourself. You're against yourself or the clock or points, but you don't have to like bump people or be right. It's not as in your face competitive as racing, I don't think.
True, and if you are competing with the rock crawling, normally you have a crowd around you too, cheering
Yeah.
you on, or or we'll see when you're lying. I mean, so you at the big races you get that. But normally if I go for my heat, there's really nobody watching me besides us 10 people, So
Yeah.
With the crawling, if you're at a crawl comp, you're definitely have a bunch of people watching you and cheering you on and supporting you and that kind of stuff too, which is a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. So you've been in this hobby for a really long time, and I feel like when I ask this question, it's gonna be a hard one to answer. How many trucks, cars, let's go with RCs, have you built to this point? And do you have something sitting there that you can share? I know that I see them kicking around, but
I got plenty of cars. I mean, how many cars have I built? Wow, I can't even answer that. I mean, I've been doing this since '84, so
okay. So
how many cars I have here?
Yeah, let's do that one. How many do you have sitting around right now that like at any moment you could just pick up and run?
In this room or this house? Because the house I couldn't count.
The house you couldn't count, but you can count the room. Count the room then.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 26.
Awesome. Can you pull one out and share it with our viewers? Talk about it. Maybe pick a favorite. It can be a crawler. It doesn't have to be. Like pick something you really, really like and enjoy.
I have a couple favorite crawlers right now. You talked about small tire. This is my new favorite small tire. This thing's just a blast to drive. You can tell all the mud and everything. That's from the G6 this past weekend. So, but the one that I've really been having a lot of fun with is this one here. This is my Toizuki.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of, it's different. I built this probably 8 months ago, and the reason why I built it because it was different than from everything I have. Motors in the front. It's got a transfer case. It's a fun, capable rig. It does everything I asked it to. The only thing it does miss is I don't have a dig in it. And if everybody knows me, all my rigs have digs in them, so they call it cheating. But yeah, this thing's been. I've used it. It's been a lot of fun. Let's see, I got a 16 turn in it. But this is probably my most favorite rig. My Wordy Baby bumper. I had to put a driver in it because I can't deal without a driver. But this is probably my most favorite rig. And then my Toyota, my SR5. This has been a lot of fun too. It's got the Curry's DP axles underneath it, big stinger. It's now this one here. This one is brushless. So this is probably the first crawler I've had brushless power, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a blast to drive. I've been having a lot of fun with that one. But those are probably my two favorites, and then my oldie but goodie. This thing's been around for everybody knows this rig. It's been everywhere. Been all over the country. It's been stuffed in suitcases and backpacks, and it's brush powered, and it's this one's called Bob. We call him Bob. All my rigs I seem to end up with names. I got Bob, and the red one's Roxanne. I haven't named the Toizuki yet. It's just known as Toizuki.
Yeah, I'm the worst when it comes to naming, man. I'm always like Blue Jeep or
right.
Like,
well, normally it's not even me. Normally I'm not even the one naming them. It's other people naming my stuff. I didn't name Roxanne. Brad at work named Roxanne, and then I got Bob. I got Steve. Steve is my red, white, and blue call it my 4th of July truck, and they started calling it Steve. So that's Steve. Steve's been all over the place, and yeah. So I don't even name him. Everybody else seems for me, which makes it easier for me.
Right, absolutely would make it easy for you. So let's shift the conversation just a touch, and let's say if someone new just happens to stumble across this interview and they're still in here and paying attention, or they're catching it later on YouTube or whatever, what are like the necessary tools that you would say a brand new person to the hobby would need to be able to like work on and maintain their vehicle?
Hammer, duct tape, and baling wire. No, I'm just kidding. A good set of tools. Just make sure you buy quality tools. I use MIP. MIP's got a really sharp edge, especially for the crawling market. A lot of the screws and stuff, they get dirt in them and they get hammered on rocks. Unlike racing. Racing, you know, they don't get that abused. The scale industry, they just get abused. So a pick and a good set of tools. My toolbox is sitting right here. A good sharp reamer, MIP tools. All
right. So we're frozen. Oh wait, we're coming back. We might be frozen again. Okay, so while we're all right. So John, I'm not sure what's up. We're frozen for the second. So we're back. We're in and out. We'll be back in a second. I know we will. It's coming back, so I'm going to talk for just a second. So it looks like we've come back and we're ready to continue on with what's going on. And so the best part about that is you do have the toolbox sitting right behind you. And so there's always something in everybody's toolbox that's obscure. It's something that they either use for something different than what the intended purpose is, or it's like the one thing they can't live without. What's your one tool that you cannot make it without?
I took these from a friend of mine when we were in Atlanta, Andy Ziegler, and I used these things because they were in his box. And I even told him, I'm still in these, and I'm going to keep them. And I still have them, and it's been 6 years.
Okay.
But they're just these little clips you can get from like Harbor Freight, and you can like hold your wires when you solder, and it holds them, or holds a nut in a really tight area. But these things right here, I mean, I've had these things for a long time, and they're bent. You can tell how bent they are. I just bend them back, and I just keep using them. But this is probably probably the oldest tool I have in my box.
All right. Yeah, I always find that interesting because no matter who it is, there's always like the one go-to, the one thing you have to have, the one thing that you can't live without. And sometimes that question produces interesting results.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the fact that for a while you were working with Axial, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people know that about you. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about some of your experiences there? How can you share a little bit?
Sure. Well, I can even go back a little farther than that. I worked for a company called HBI Racing a long time ago, and Sean Ireland was the president at that time of HBI, and Rodney Wills. Rodney Wills is a really good, awesome, great friend, and he knows how passionate I was in the industry. They knew that I owned a company called Rock Concepts, and I made my own parts. So they offered me a position with HBI, and I took it. And I worked there for probably a year before I actually got hired, and then I worked there for about 5 years. And that's and Rodney left, and Rodney went to Axial, and I did some other stuff. And then I came back into the industry and worked with Rodney at Axial for over 3 years. Now I was, as a lot of people there, I wasn't an employee of Axial. I was a contractor of Axial, but I went to work 5 days a week. I put my heart and soul in that, into that company, just like everybody else did there. So I was just a contractor there for the 3.5 years I was there. They always talked about hiring me, but it just never happened. And then when they had their Chapter 11, um, uh, Horizon bottomed out, and I just needed to get a job. I mean, the contracting thing was fun, but man, it's a lot of work. If you don't have a solid gig, it's tough. You also have to remember you don't get 401k, you don't get uh, vacation. If you want to get paid, you work, which I have a problem with because I'm a workaholic. Um, but there was a lot of unknowns there, and I was just talking to a good friend of mine, Sean Ireland, which was the president at HBI a long time ago, and he works for Team Associated now. And we just started talking, and he said, "Hey, if you ever decide not to work over at Axial anymore, let me know." And I was just like, you know what, I just need something a little more solid, and that's how it came about. Nothing wrong with Axial. I love everybody there. A bunch of great people there. I love their product. I still play with their product, but I just needed something a little more solid, and that's what it comes down to.
Right. So you just mentioned that you made the shift and now you're a Team Associated. So what is your job title at Team Associated? And as that filling that role, what exactly does that mean?
I'm titles. Whatever. Titles are titles. I don't whatever they mean. But basically, I'm a brand ambassador. What I've been doing for years with HBI, with Axial, with Horizon. When I was with Horizon, I skipped over that part. I basically go out and see shops. I do events. I'm out in front of people. I help people with their products. I'm not saying so much the race side because Associated's got their race side pretty dialed in. They got BP over there and they're a great race team, and everybody's super awesome to help you out there. But Team Associated has always been known as a race brand, and they make RTRs. So it just was a good fit for me to come in and show people, hey, look, we're a great RTR company too, and go see shops and do events and play with the RTR stuff, which they have some great stuff over there. So
awesome, man. That sounds like a killer job. I bet
I love it.
All the people in this feed would be like, yeah, I'll take that one. I'll do it. So I skipped ahead to that for a second, but I have to bump back slightly to the Axial stuff. And from what I could gather around the old interwebs, you were a part of the team that did the Axial Fest stuff. Mm-hmm. If someone doesn't know about Axial Fest, didn't know about Axial Fest, can you explain what exactly that is? And I'm not sure if you were there at the beginning or you came later or whatever, but can you explain a little bit about what goes on there and kind of about that event?
Yeah, Rodney Wills was the curator of Axial Fest, and he started this a long time ago. And he saw the vision of how the comp crawling was kind of going away, and we need to bring more fun and into the industry, which that's what we all want to do. So it just kind of grew and grew and grew. When I came along, there were some changes there, and my specialty is events. So I just kind of fit in that whole thing. I worked really closely with Rodney and Scott and Revis, and I mean all the guys. People don't realize what goes into Axial Fest. Axial Fest isn't something like we just go, hey, we're just going to go out and put a bunch of trails in. Axial Fest is a year-long project. Oh, yeah. From when Axial Fest ends, it has to start for next year because there's so much involved. But if you want to go to an event that you're going to have a blast at, there's competition there, but you don't need to comp. We built 12 trails this year. They're all theme oriented. There's camping. Axial takes over this whole entire campground. Everybody that's in this campground is an RC enthusiast, and it's I've been to a lot of events over
Yeah.
the last 30 years or how long I've been in this. Axial Fest just blew my mind. It still makes me speechless on how awesome it is. The trails, the people, your friends, the new friends, your old friends. I mean, it's just a great place to be. Good atmosphere. You know, when you have 3,000 people there and you get 3 complaints over an event that size, I mean, you know, it's a good time.
Absolutely.
This last year was even bigger. Um, it's just, and we give away so much. You know, we give away full-size tires from BF Goodrich, full-size wheels, complete exhaust systems. That's for your full-size car. That's not your RC car.
Right.
You know, they gave away kits and parts and yeah, you name it. I mean, it's just a great time. And then all the vendors, Night Customs, RPP, CQRC, MIP, RC Four-Wheel Drive. I'm forgetting probably most of them, but they're all there. So you're going to go to this event. You're going to play with your RC car on these hills that are open 24 hours a day for 7 days or 6 days, and go out and hang out with the people you're buying your parts from and asking questions. If you're having a problem with the vehicle, they'll help you out. It's just, you can't go any place like that. You can't. I mean, if you haven't been, it's a must. It's definitely a must.
Dude, it's definitely on my list. It's just very far from my location.
Well,
so.
Cisco Grove or Axial is kind of far from everybody. It's in between. It's in between Sacramento and in between there and Reno. So, hour and a half, and then you meet in the middle. But you're in the wilderness. You're right by the Rubicon, Fort Ice Trail. I mean, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. You're at 6,500 feet. You know, it's just a good time.
Yeah, man. So hopefully I'll get a chance to make it out there sooner or later, and hopefully it's still kicking around and continuing to rise the way it's risen in the past. And hopefully that's all.
I'm hoping to go next year so I can actually do some of the courses, because you know we're there. Me, Revis, Anthony Revis, Sean Barton, Dan Huff, Brad Perry. We're there a month ahead. We're ahead a whole month.
Yeah.
And when we get there, we're running. We're setting trails. We're, cleaning trails. It's just a non-stop event.
Yep.
People, it's not that we just go out and put these markers up. We actually go out. We build these trails. So we make sure that these trails are scaled. What we've been doing these last few years is, and like I said, this is a one-man show. This is it takes a team to make this happen.
Yeah.
And this last couple of years, we're making the trails. Some of them are only this wide. Most of them are 6 feet wide. And the reason why we do that is because if you look at that 6 foot wide trail, you can go up an easy side, you go up the stiff side, a harder side. We make it, it's your own adventure. It's your own, you make it what you want to make it, basically.
Right.
If you want a tough trail, you make it a tough trail. So I notice I talk with my hands a
lot. I do the same thing sometimes. I mean, it just happens. It kind of reminds me of like that Talladega Nights thing where like I don't know what to do with my hands. So let's shift back and talk about builds briefly here. And what is one thing that if you're building a scale truck, trail truck, like ultra scale truck, whatever it is, competition truck, you can't leave off of a scale build? And that I'm going to pose that to all the people out here viewing and commenting as well. We've had tons of comments, by the way. It just keeps rolling super fast, guys. We appreciate all the love. So, so go ahead. What's one thing you cannot leave off a scale build?
okay. I can't stand driving a vehicle uh, like this or like this, and there's no driver. That just bothers me. Um, it has to have some kind of driver. I mean, I got Bob, a minion in this one, but he's a driver. It's got to have some kind of driver. That's just been a pet peeve lately. I'm not sure why. If I see people on trail and they don't have a driver's like, it's a ghost. It's got to have something in there.
Yeah, see, I'm with you. I think that, and I've said my answer like 100 times, but I think my answer is that it has to have the interior. And personally, I believe the driver is part of that. But
right.
That inner shell, like you can't just look in the windows and see the stuff inside of there. So
right. Well, Roxanne, it's a Proline SR5 body, but if you look, it's got bomber interior in it.
Yep.
So I have a guy in that too.
Yep.
So it just has to have. It's got to have something inside. It's got to be, that's what makes it scale to me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the next question that I ask a lot of people, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a reason, it's a pointed question, but are you a forums fan or a Facebook fan, and why? And so the reason I ask it is because I want people to know, if they're new to the hobby, that the forums do exist, and there's a reason they're there, and that that's a good thing. So I'm just curious to see what your answer is and where you reside.
If I'm looking for something in particular, like, hey, I want to build a Toyota, or if I want to build, a Ford or whatever, Chevy, I'll go on the forums and I'll just kind of look and see what they have. Especially like if I go on to like Scale Builders Guild, on that side. If I'm looking for detail, it gives me a lot of great ideas going to those places. So for getting ideas and detail, I go to the forums. If I'm just like normal, it's usually Facebook or Instagram.
Right. Which is what I'm 100% guilty of right now. Anytime that I'm doing anything, I think I lean a little more toward Instagram. Super fun because it's all pictures and no talking for the most part.
Right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
So
no drama.
That's a nice way to get a snapshot of what's going on in the hobby at the moment. But I find myself scrolling through Facebook more than anything, and but the forums are like, if you really need something, that's the place to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're looking for something specific. Especially like the new Associated 12 scale, it just came out, and it's so new. You're really not going to see that much on Facebook or Instagram. So going to a forum, like there's a CR12. Well, there's a CR12 page too. So, but the forums will give you more detail.
Right.
They might not just show you the picture, but they'll tell you how they got there.
Yeah.
So.
And couldn't agree more. Okay, so you just pulled out the CR12 and you talked about that. I have to ask, from Team Associated, where you're sitting, are we going to see a 1/10 scale trail truck? Are we going to see a 1/10 scale crawler?
I don't know. Team Associated is a little different than say other manufacturers that I've worked for. Usually you go into a room and it's also all, a bunch of, that's where everybody's at.
Yeah.
Team Associated has a room, it's an area called Area 51. Even though you work there, you're not allowed to go in there unless you have a reason to be in there.
Huh.
So I don't know what's going behind those doors.
Fair enough. But
I hope so.
Understandable.
But, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll all eagerly wait and find out what's going on there. So this next question, and I started asking it more recently. It was actually like posed by my father toward me, like the one time when I kind of talked a little bit about myself and had like a live feed for that. And so it is, if you could build your like dream RC truck, and what components would you use? What would it be? Like, if you could just build it and put everything together, what would the dream one be?
Well, when I usually build my vehicles, they're usually end up like what I want them to be. Like most of my rigs, they all have Vanquish wheels. They all have dig in them. This one, a rock sand, and this one, it's got all the curry axles underneath it. But right now, I'm in the process of building. Well, I have been building, but I'm getting serious with it. I have a UC Fab chassis, 1.9 UC Fab chassis that I'm starting to really focus on building, and so far it's going to have the dig in it. It's going to be brushless. It'll probably be it's going to be a 1.9 rig for sure. But yeah, that's probably the rig I'm going to build next. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to go regular axle or portals.
Okay.
It has a lot to do with shock suspension. If I'm going to run a droop, I'll probably go portals. If I'm going to go sprung, then it'll probably be straight axle. But that's probably my next build that I'm going to build that I'm pretty excited about is the UC Fab chassis rig. I don't have it here. I left it.
That's all right. So I just have to ask. I saw you pull down the truck you just pulled down, and you had another one out, and they both have the same paint job. Are you painting that? Like, it's killer, by the way. I've seen it multiple times. And why always why the repetitive paint job? Is it kind of your signature? What's going on there, man?
This is my signature paint, race paint.
Okay.
It just they always have the orange and the granite flames. The flames because I'm old school. But it's just kind of like my signature paint. And no, I don't paint that. If I painted a body, it's Roxanne. It's one color. Actually, I spent time with this one because I painted the outside and inside. I put that flat paint on it. So just over like a flat red. But my painter is out of Hemet, and it's a Walden Design. He does all my paint work. He does mine and my son's paint work.
Awesome, man. They look killer, so I'd be interested in checking out his stuff for sure. Okay, so inevitably through whether it's your job as an ambassador or you're just at the track or you're at an event, you're gonna run into new people in the hobby who are just starting out. Right. What is like the solid go-to one piece of advice that you give people who are just starting?
It's what do you want to do? Do you want to go fast? Do you want to crawl? What are your friends doing? I get that question a lot, and it's hard to tell them go buy that car. For the simple reason is I can say, hey, go get a Team Associated B61 and put your race motor in, go to the track and race it. But that's might not what he wants to do. Maybe he just wants to go out and crawl. Or, hey, his buddies all have this truck, and I push them toward. So I always ask the question, what's going on? What are you looking for? Are you looking to go fast? Do you want to go play with your buddies? Do you go to the desert? Do you go to the beach? Do you want something to go fast on the street? Those are the questions I ask first. If you're going to go to the desert and just you want something to beat on, I have my new favorite dasher is the Associated Nomad. It's 4S, brushless powered. It's basically an A-scale buggy truggy. It's got a long chassis, but it's got all the power in the world, and it just takes a beating. So I wouldn't want to sell that to somebody that just wants to go out and crawl with their buddies. So I just need to find out what they want, what they're looking to do first. And then I can reach out from there. The one thing I do is, hey, I want a nitro car. No, you don't. You know, you don't want a nitro car, but they're fast. But brushless is faster. You know, it's easier, it's cleaner. Especially where I live. I live in high desert. We're about 4,000 feet, and we get people from Big Bear all the way down from the beach area. So elevation is crucial here. And I can tune your nitro car in front of my house, but then you go to the beach and you wonder why it doesn't run. Well, it's because it's not tuned for down there.
Right.
You know, you can't beat brushless nowadays. Brushless it's easy, it's fast, it's fun. You know, when it dies, you put another battery in, and you just keep driving.
Oh yeah, that plug and play is definitely the key.
Yes.
Especially if you're new.
Yeah.
I mean, nitro's fun and all, but there's a lot of maintenance, a lot of tuning, a lot of that stuff going on in there. And I had one. I probably will never have another one. Just too much work for me. So.
Oh, and that's fun. If you're into that, you have buddies that do it. But if you're new, you got to have friends. You got to have friends that know what they're doing.
Absolutely, you have to. So my next question to you is, like, who are your influences in the scale segment of the hobby? And if you were going to pick one person to have me interview, who would you pick and why?
Wow, there's so many people. If I was looking for someone that was super scale, like you got Matthew Cat and you have Night Customs, James.
Yep.
Those two guys, the stuff that they come out with and the stuff they do is just, it's awesome. It's really, I'm shocked at what they do. Harley, Josh Lee, he's a big inspiration. I really like what he's doing because he vlogs a lot. He's out in people's faces. He's on YouTube. He's on Facebook.
Yep.
He's helping people understand each car. I like when he does the teardowns. Hey, you know, even though it's an RTR, he tears it down and shows you what you're getting. He gives you his honest opinion. So I mean, he's a great influencer for this industry. The man that Rodney Wills. I mean, if it came down to one guy, it'd be Rodney Wills. Rodney Wills. He's a brother from another mother. Me and him are good friends. We always have been. We ride motorcycles together. Now we do 4x4 together. I wish I could ride a bicycle with him because he's an animal on bicycles. But he's just such a good guy. We went to K&K a couple years ago, and he went from camp to camp to camp and talked with everybody. Not like, hey, how's it going? He sat down with them and just learned their story and found out who these people were and why and how and what made their brain turn. Rodney, as a marketing person, he thinks, like, here's the box. He's way outside the box. He doesn't even think the box is thrown in the trash. He thinks outside the box. That's always drove me closer to Rodney. I love Rodney as a brother, like I said, and if it was one guy, it would be him.
Awesome, man.
He's a great guy.
Awesome. So now I have to ask you one of the toughest questions for me to answer, and for a lot of other builders out there, is what is your favorite truck out there right now? Your favorite build that's kicking around the internet, Facebook, Instagram, forums, whatever, that is not your own. Can you identify one and pick it up?
Oh yeah. And I don't know why, but it's Matthew Kett's SR5, the old school wrap. There's a lot of cool rigs out there, and I see a lot of stuff out there. But that rig, for whatever reason, I always joke with them. Hey, when can I take my rig home? I always joke with them because that thing just. I'm an old school off-road guy, So
Yeah.
Ivan Ironman Stewart, for you guys won't understand, but that was like my hero when I was a kid. I mean, all my RC cars back in the day, where I always painted them with Ironman, paint job on the side. So
Yeah.
he has that old rustic wrapped, SR5, and it's just a really clean looking, awesome looking rig. That rig's always stood out to me for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a really nice, cool piece.
It sure was, man. I got to see it at East Coast, not this year, but the year before, and it was very, very well done, very well tailored, like cohesive. Everything went together,
Yes.
and it was well thought out, without a doubt.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so here's another interesting question I like to ask, and so I'm curious to see what your answer is as someone who's working and as involved in the industry as you are. Is where do you see the scale crawling community heading in the coming years?
If we all work together as an industry, I see it growing leaps and bounds.
Okay.
Clump crawling started off huge, but the industry killed it because you had to go buy 2 speedos, 2 motors, carbon fiber this, carbon fiber that, tires for every occasion. There's quite a few events out there. If we just keep these events fun,
Yep.
like K&K's event, that place is an absolute blast. Yes, it's a competition, but Kirby and those guys out there, they do a great job. You're competing, but you're having such a great time doing it, and that's what it's all about. We need to keep the fun in the industry.
Yep.
If you just want to go out and have fun and crawl on a rock, then go do it. If you want to compete, then compete. But if you're not having fun competing, go back to crawling on the rock.
Right.
Just like racing. If we all want to win, but we can't always win. We can do the best we can do, but we gotta keep that fun in it. If we are good fast guys, or our cars are set up and we see somebody struggling, go help that person. Hey man, I noticed that your car is a little loose, or hey, I noticed you're losing your body on your crawler, or hey, your tire fell off. I hear a noise. Let me see what I can do to help you out.
Yeah.
We need to come together and help support each other. Because if we don't, why do I want to go crawl on a rock with a bunch of guys that don't talk to me?
Right.
So I think we just need to be one big happy community and keep it that way.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I feel that that's probably one of my favorite parts of the Scale RC community is like that word, community. We have it. It's a genuine piece of what's going on inside the scale scene, and as long as that doesn't become watered down and doesn't fall apart, I see it just continuing to climb up. But exactly like you're saying, that's the big drive, and people need to be cognizant of that and pay attention and nurture that, especially the guys who've been doing it a long time, the people who are at the top, the people who've been paying attention and have the knowledge need to be willing to pass that on to the people who are just entering.
Right, exactly. Pass that knowledge on. The cool thing is I love talking on anybody that has a loud microphone. Here comes Schultz, hide that thing, because I have no problem making a fool of myself. But like at Axial Fest, I was on stage and I said, "Hey, how many people is out here for the first time?" And like 75% of the crowd raised their hand. I'm like, wow, I'm blown away. How many people are new people? And like half the people raised their hand. That's telling me that the crawler industry, the market is definitely still growing. And I love to see that. I love seeing new people and new faces and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely do see it on the rise still, for sure.
Awesome. So My next question, I always like to throw something in there about sponsorship and so on and so forth. And I'm curious about what you have going on there. Do you currently have any sponsors? And if so, why have you chosen them? And then I'm going to add to that. So there's two questions, and you get a third added on. Do you feel that sponsorship is different in the racing world than it is in the crawling community, and for the better or for the worse on either side?
Wow, that's a good question. Let me see, how can I do this politically?
Diplomatically, yes. No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, man, but I was just thinking about it. Like, you sit in a unique place where you're seeing both sides of what goes on, and from what I can gather, I'm not a racer. I pay attention a little bit, but I genuinely feel that it's approached differently in both segments of the hobby, and I'm curious on your viewpoint there.
Well, if you're a racer and you want to be sponsored, back when I started racing, you need to be fast. Unfortunately, nowadays, you don't need to be fast to be sponsored nowadays in the racing side of things. I feel if you're a racer and you want to be sponsored, there needs to be work put into it. You need to go to the track, 2 to 4 times a week. You need to put that time in. Wow, that's a tough thing to talk about on sponsorship on race side.
Yeah.
Because nowadays it seems like anybody can call a tire manufacturer or call a manufacturer of a car company and going, hey, I race here, I want to be sponsored, and they're like, okay, cool, we'll give you 50% off and you're part of the team, put your order in and move forward. It's not like it used to be back in the day, where the guys that were sponsored, they earned it, they raced, they were fast, they traveled. Nowadays almost everybody's sponsored on the race side.
Yeah.
Which it's almost like they're really not sponsoring you. They're more like you're a customer for the next year. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. We got that guy. He's going to race for us, and he's a customer for a year, so he's going to, it's kind of, hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying this, but it kind of bypasses the hobby shop. And right now we can't do that. And nowadays hobby shops are struggling because of online sales and cheap China brands and that kind of stuff. So the racing side, I don't see a change. We definitely need to get more people to the track to make that side grow. But right now the cost, when I used to race, there was stock and mod. There was your two classes. You ran novice, and then you moved it to stock, and then when you got fast enough, you ran mod. When I raced, you couldn't pay more than $25 for a stock motor. So it was very inexpensive to move from novice to stock. And then when you got fast enough with the big boys, you ran mod. Nowadays, I've been to races where you have a novice, an intermediate, beginners, a stock, super stock, a mod, and then a pro class. It's like everybody's gonna get a participation trophy. It's what it feels like to me sometimes. And I know there's been quite a few people like Travis Brock, it's SDRC, great friend of mine. Jason from Raw Speed. I know they're trying to change the thought process of the race industry to get more people back into racing. And I know people right now that are spending $300 for a stock motor. That's just ridiculous. If you want to spend that kind of money, go run mod. But I think something has to change in racing. I'm not sure what. Of course, we all want to win. I'm probably the worst because I have my race cars here for tomorrow, and I don't spare any expense to make my cars the best, or my son's cars, either.
Right.
But I wish we could get the race side of things growing a little bit quicker. Far as crawling, I feel there should be no sponsor drivers whatsoever, and crawling. Uh, I think we should have influencers.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Somebody that's like a Harley or a Matt or a 2 Chains, Adam and Elio. Those guys are influencers. Those are the guys that we want to support, and help those guys bring other people, bring other people in. So far as sponsorship for crawling, I don't think it's necessary, because
Okay.
we really don't compete unless we go to an event. But I'd rather see those guys out talking to the people and pushing the product they run on other people than, hey, I won, haha, you lose. I don't want to see that. I want to see everybody get along and help those people move along. So hopefully, does that make sense with the influencer, not sponsor?
Yes. No, I follow you. So I understand what you're saying.
Everybody understands what I'm talking about here.
The reason I ask is because I feel like the sponsorship thing is a hot button topic, and yes, like I do have sponsors, and I have a few. I don't have like a whole horde of them or anything like that. But I feel like it gets watered down sometimes, or people view it in different ways, and I'm always curious to see where people stand on it, and what's going on. So that's why I asked that question. There's just a lot of viewpoints out there, and I like hearing what they have to say. So, all right, let's talk about kind of the end of things here. John, is there anything I missed? Anything that you want to put out there, share with people, any of that stuff?
I'm losing you. You're kind of bouncing a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Is there anything that I missed?
Say it again.
Anything I missed?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You did ask for my sponsors, and I do have quite a few sponsors, but these are all people that I believe in their product, and they help me out. I mean, but yeah, I'm sponsored by Team Associated, Reedy, Proline Tires. My local hobby shop supports me. Futaba Radios, MIP, Walden Designs, and JL. Those are my sponsors from my race side, and I don't feel myself so much as being a fast guy. I feel myself being more of an influencer on the race side. And then on my crawler side, I get great help from Vanquish Products, K&K Hobbies, or K&K Hardware, Wordy Made, Fast Edge Bearings, Night Customs, and of course, Ultra Shoes. But I'm just out there to show people what I run, and I believe in these products. And trying not to steer people the wrong direction,
right,
with the products I support. So
yeah, absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I have some sponsors and whatnot, and it's people I was running before they came to me. It's products I was supporting before I ended up with a sponsorship. It's stuff I believe in, and I think that a lot of people are doing that. And then it seemed like in the crawling community for a while, and I think it's getting better now. People were getting a bad rap for being sponsored because they would promote what they believed in, and people weren't believing that. They actually believed in those companies. And there's a weird gray area, a difficult thing going on there. And I don't know how to talk about it other than there was some perceptions that went back and forth, and hopefully we're starting to see some of that perception change one way or the other, hopefully for the better. So
right. And if you do want to, if you're a company out there and you want to support somebody, make sure the person has got a great attitude. Make sure they travel. They don't have to travel across the country, but they go to their local events, the local hobby shops. Make sure those people are supporting the product that you're supporting them with.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with my stuff. If you come out to a crawl night and you see me crawling, and they're like, hey, I want to try that motor setup you're running. I'll be like, here. I crawl with my Futaba PX7. It's a $600 radio, but I have that hooked up to all my cars. It just makes it easier. and I'll hand that radio to some kid, say, here, try my rig. And they're like, really?
Yep.
You know, but that's what I'm there for. I'm there to put their product in other people's hands to help support these, you know, the people that support me, for sure.
Right. Absolutely the right thing, man. And so, I guess where we end this thing up is, what should we expect to see next from you? Anything coming down the line? Anything you want to share before I let you go?
Honestly, just gotta keep watching. I will be traveling more. So if you see me come in your town and you want to crawl with me, or there's local track you want to go race at, or hit me up. We're planning on going to CDM next Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday. I gotta figure out what today is. And I do these invites to have everybody come out. I don't care what you drive. I don't care what you have. Come out. Even if you don't even have a car, send me a PM. Say, hey John, I don't have a car, but I'd really like to try it. I'll bring another car. I'll bring Steve. I'll bring whatever. I have cars on their own radio. I'll give you my car to drive, and I spend more time talking anyway. So, if you want to try crawling or get into racing, come by and see me. Racing, I probably won't hand you my radio and my race car, but unless it's after the race, or I know that you can drive. I've had friends fly in from the East Coast for work, and they stop by my local track, and I'll let them race one qualifier of my race. I'm like, here's my car. I know you can race. You can't damage my car. What's an arm cost?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no problem with that. So if anybody is out there that's looking to get into something like this, please hit me up. If you know I'm going to be somewhere, let me know. I'll bring an extra crawler for you. I have no problem with that.
Awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. So I just have to say, I want to thank you for being on the show. I had a great time talking with you. Insightful conversation, nice stories. It's wonderful. And I can't wait to talk to you again, or possibly get to meet you in person, man. I know you do a lot of travel, and hopefully we'll end up in the same place sooner or later. So
you made me clean my room. My room was a mess, and I had race stuff everywhere, and I had also, this was one of my daughter's rooms. So I didn't paint it. So if you look behind, it's really pink. So
nice.
So
that's awesome.
But I took over one of the rooms here for my Schultz RC lab, as I call it. So
I have the whole basement, and it's everywhere. So
yeah.
It's like a bomb went off. You definitely wouldn't want to see anything other than what you're seeing right now.
We don't have basement. Well, I don't have a basement here in California, so
yeah. Yep. All right, man. Well, if you don't have anything else, I'm gonna let you go, and I'll close out the show. And thanks again for being on. I genuinely appreciated it. Great conversation. Great info. I loved every minute of it. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, you want to talk about specific anything, just hit me up. I don't have a problem with that. If anybody's out there, hit me up. If you have any questions, hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on Instagram. My battery just went off, sorry. So don't be shy. I get messages all the time. So yeah. And if you see me out there, don't be shy. Come say hi, please.
All right, guys. So that's John Schultz, and if you see him, go talk to him. If you see a post saying he's going to be somewhere, go hit him up and check out what he's got going on, because he's doing cool stuff all over this country, all over the place, and it's great stuff. So, all right, man. Well, I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to close out the show, and I'll be talking to you in the future for sure.
Peace out, man. Everybody have fun with your hobby.
Yeah, thanks. See ya. All right, guys, thank you for staying in. If you're still in this, I see there's 24 of you. If you're picking up this later over on YouTube or on Facebook, feel free to leave a comment, leave a like, spread the love around. It's great. I appreciate every one of you. So let's talk about a couple other things. First off, check out all of my social media stuff. If you haven't been or aren't already following it, follow me over at VanOrd Customs on YouTube. I'm about ready to start up a whole bunch more video stuff. Follow me on Instagram at VanOrd_Customs, on Facebook at VanOrd Customs, and lastly, go check out the website. Excuse me. I sell scale backdrops, license plates, off-road signs, and the such. So go check that out as well if you have any interest there. So without further ado, I'm going to close the show, and I just have to say thank you to all of you guys, because if it wasn't for all of you tuning in, and it wasn't for all of you out there who have found this as some kind of value, it would literally just be me talking to a camera by myself, and that is a boring way to do things, and no one wants to see that. So keep tuning in, keep checking it out, and we'll be back next week with another live at 9:45 with a yet-to-be-disclosed guest. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you next week.